German imperative, der Imperativ. So how can you give a command in German? In today's video, I will show you how you can create the German imperative form, when you have to use it, and why you should never use it in the exact same way you do it in English. Hi, my name is Jan and I'm your German teacher here on EasyDeutsch, your YouTube channel for German grammar. Today's video is all about the imperative. So how can you give a command in German? And with the help of my ebook, German Grammar Explained Easily, I will show you now all the secrets of German imperative. So let's switch into my ebook. So, wir sind jetzt hier in meinem E-Book German Grammar Explained Easily. Today's topic is the imperative, so the imperative. So, when you actually want to give a command, if you want to tell somebody to do something in particular. So, let's jump right there. So, like I told you already, we use the imperative form of the verb for demands and commands. That's very similar to English. There is an imperative form in English as well. And the imperative exists only in the English you forms. In German, you have three of them. That's the singular informal you, the plural informal you, and the polite version, so the polite you. If you don't know those three ones yet, please check out my video about personal pronouns in German that I have a link for you here in the info cards. So let's have a look at the three examples here. Geh jetzt ins Bett, that's the singular you, and go to bed. Geht bitte einkaufen, that's the plural you. Please go for groceries or shopping. Gehen Sie nach Hause, go home. So in English, that's all go. And that's pretty much it. You just change the word order. And you can see here, we do change the word order a little bit as well. But let's have a look at it at every single form. So we start the other way around with the polite form, because there you can see here we change only the word order. The verb goes to the position 1 and is followed by sie. And actually we use the verb in the infinitive form, but that's simply because that's also the conjugation. See, it's sie gehen, and we just changed the word order here, and now we already have imperative. Instead of sie gehen nach Hause, it's gehen Sie nach Hause, so go home. But that's still the polite way, but it's not a polite way here, it's just a polite form. So when you actually talk to your boss, if you talk as a boss to your employees, that's when you should use this. Imperative is never polite in German language, so pay attention to this. Let's have a look at the plural you. Here we use the conjugated verb and we drop the pronoun. So geht nach Hause. So it would be ihr geht nach Hause, you go home. But we use the verb still in the first position, and now we drop the pronoun or the people we are addressing. We drop them. Here, the person who we are addressing, the pronoun is still there. In plural you, it's gone. And if we go to singular you, we do the exact same thing. We conjugate the verb like present tense, put it in front, but now we drop the pronoun, so the person we are addressing, plus we drop the ending. So we drop pretty much everything except the verb stem. And again, first position, so geh nach Hause. This is singular informal imperative. This is plural informal imperative. And this is the formal plural and singular imperative. So pretty straightforward. We just keep on dropping stuff. But let's have a look how it looks with separable verbs. If you don't know what's a separable verb yet, please check out my video about the compound verbs, that's separable and separable verbs, that I will link for you in the info cards here. If a verb is separable, we still separate it in imperative. The only thing that changes, again, the word order. Everything else is the same. Kommen Sie bitte mit instead of Sie kommen mit. Here we would separate the mitkommen, so we still separate it here because we we actually conjugate the main verb, just change the word order for the imperative and drop the pronouns and here the ending. But we separate separate verbs even in imperative. And where you have to pay attention are a few irregularities, like the vowel change. So in strong verbs, who they change from an E to an IE, is also done in imperative. Strong verbs, if you remember, those are the verbs that actually change their vowel, like sehen goes to du siehst. So we do this in imperative, yes, we do it as well. But the vowel change from A to E is not gonna be executed in imperative. So here, the dots above the E, we drop them again in imperative. So if you don't really know what's a strong verb, remember only E's and A's change, nothing else is gonna change. And due to that, we do use the conjugated version here, just change the word order and drop stuff. We still use the vowel change if it was an E change, but the A change is not gonna be executed here. I will link the video about the strong verbs, starke Verben for you in the info cards as well, if you want to get a closer look at those verbs. But let's have the look here, the two examples. Hilf deinem Bruder, it comes from du hilfst. So we dropped the ending and we dropped the du for the imperative formation. And here, fahr langsamer, it comes from du fährst, but without the dots, so drive slower. And this is done only in the do form, obviously, because there is no vowel change in strong verbs in plural or the formal way. That only happens in second and third person. So the imperative does not exist in the third person. That's why it can only happen in the do, in the singular eu version. And there's also something that we can add to this do version. That's an extra E at the end of the verb that makes it a little bit more formal and a little bit more polite. So instead of geh nach Hause, you can also say gehe nach Hause. Both are correct. If you want to always speak a bit more polite, I recommend you add it if it sounds right. But with the verb stems DT, M or N, you actually have to add it in theory. So from the grammatically correctness point of view, you actually really have to add this E here. Warte noch 5 Minuten. But if you actually listen to German people, it's often still dropped. So in an exam, put it. In the spoken language, you don't really have to. Very often it's dropped. And for example, here, if you have the vowel change, there you cannot add the E. This doesn't work. So Hilfe deinem Bruder, because here we would have a totally different word again. So here it does not work with the E, but usually it works. And with those, you technically have to, but in spoken language, not really. So actually, those are the rules, and there are only 3 verbs that are irregular in imperative, so they do not go according to those rules, including these special characteristics here. And those are the usual suspects. If it comes to irregular verbs, it's sein, haben, werden, so to be, to have, and to become as a main verb, or it's like would as well. So sein is very obviously irregular. You see here already, well, this is another version. Sei ruhig, seid ruhig, seien Sie ruhig. Why are those 2 irregular? They look pretty regular. Yes, here we just drop the ending and we don't have a pronoun, and here we still have an ending and don't have a pronoun, and here it's just normal. It looks like, yes, but remember, usually we use the conjugated version. So it's sehe, du siehst, and then sie nach da drüben. So we use the conjugated version, and haben is hast. So haben is irregular in the present conjugation. So we did actually not use the conjugated version here, what we do with all the other verbs. And those 2, for whatever reason, stick to their basic form and just do everything else according to the basic form. So here you have to pay attention. It's actually just in a do irregular. This is both entirely correct and regular, but those are the two versions where you have to pay attention to. Word order, I already mentioned it. The imperative form goes on position. What I want to mention again here, just to make you aware of it, because it's slightly different from English and maybe other languages. Imperative is always, and yes, always, very rude and unkind, and especially when spoken quickly and loudly. So usually Germans try to avoid the imperative, but you can add words like bitte or also bitte mal to make the sentence sound a little bit more polite and friendlier. For example, geh bitte mal in den Supermarkt. So it's somehow, please go to the supermarket, or hol mich bitte am Bahnhof ab. So please pick me up at the airport. In English, I would say those sentences, in the moment there is please in there, entirely neutral and not rude or unkind anymore. But in German, it's still möchte bitte, not super rude, but not a nice thing to say. So usually we prefer to express the exact same thing with Konjunktiv 2. If you don't know what it is, check out the video that I just linked for you in the info cards. For example, würdest du bitte mal in den Supermarkt gehen? So, would you please go to the supermarket? Or würdest du mich bitte am Bahnhof abholen? Or would you please pick me up at the train station? So you have the same version in English with the would, and in German that's way more used because that's the way to make stuff polite. It's a polite way of asking. If it's really rather a question, you should really do this. If you're the boss and you tell your driver, pick me up at the train station, that's entirely fine here as well. Also, if you have previously agreed that you go to the supermarket, that somebody picks you up at the train station, and you just giving them where you have to be picked up, that's entirely fine. But if it's actually a request and you haven't previously talked about it and don't have the authority to just give the command, then usually an imperative is a big no. So stick to Konjunktiv 2. Now you know everything you have to know about German imperatives. So you know now how you can give a command. But remember, don't use it all the time because it is pretty rude in German. But if you actually learned a lot in this video, I highly appreciate your support with a like for this video, and obviously if you subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss any new video, any update here. If you want to support me even further, you can of course also share this video with your friends and make their life easier as well. And if you want to, you can also purchase my books and ebooks. You will find the links in the comment section and in the video description below. That's a great support, so I can actually keep on doing those videos here for you for free. And then I hope I will see you again in one of my next lessons, and until then, viel Spaß und Erfolg beim Deutschlernen.